kind of where I brought up the safety evaluation. It's like, and I say the same thing to everyone else too. I say, hey, have you used this before? I know they haven't. And I'm like, no, I've never used yet. It's like, cool. Well, since I'm here, I'm going to do this whole system check. And since we're going to go inside and check plugs and switches anyway, this is the other things I'm going to look at. When I first started, the safety evaluation or inspection, whatever you want to call it, was super uncomfortable for me.
Sure.
I felt like it was invasive. I felt like it was obvious that I was trying to upsell or find something wrong with your house. And so I found a way to make it a me thing, so not a you thing. So I usually tell people that in doing this evaluation, it's really for our company. I want to have this so that if you do have any problems in the future, all of our technicians look back to this. Then we know exactly what's going on. We have an idea of what the condition of your house is, but it's also good information for you because you're not an electrician. If you were, you wouldn't have called me. And it always gets this little laugh. But I explain to him, I want you with me the whole time we're doing this because I want you to see what I'm seeing, and I don't know your house. I don't know where rooms are. I don't want to go anywhere that you don't want me to go to.
I like it. It's color coded?
The eval?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got what, red, green, yellow?
Ours is just green and red.
Green and red.
Yeah. It makes it a little more decisive for you.
So in this call, walk me through it then. So you've explained what the safety evaluation is. You already got the double panel sold.
Yeah.
You start. Where'd you go next in this call?
So I have this voltage drop tester. So I start next to the panel. I want to get a baseline. Like, what does it look like at the panel? And then I want to hit a few plugs as we go, and I want to get as far away from the panel as I possibly can. And I explain to him as we're going that our code book says 5% voltage drop is max. Anything above that, it's to be considered a fire hazard. I have a little bit of grace when it comes to that. If you have a 5,000 square foot house, you're going to have higher than 5%. But I set a number. Like if I'm seeing over 8%, we got to talk. So we start kind of navigating through the house. We're checking plugs. And I'm pulling things out, showing them why they're bad, showing the stab lock connections or quick connect, whatever you want to call them.
What do you tell, again, they're not an electrician. I'm not an electrician. What do you say if you see a bad connection or an issue so they understand why that's a problem?
I explain to them why the stab lock connection's bad. I explain that when you've got a panel that's heating up, it's going to start heating up wires. And all electricity is heat. Our code book is all about heat dissipation. That's what it comes down to at the very end of it. When you've got wires that are heating up and expanding and contracting, it's going to loosen connections over time. And after a certain amount of time, you've got way too much resistance. And my favorite analogy that seems to click with almost everyone, whether you're a car guy or not, is if you have too much resistance, it's not good for your house. If you're driving down the freeway at 60 miles an hour, there's already just a natural resistance. But if you throw your e-brake on and you still try and go 60 miles an hour, that's extra resistance that you didn't need, that you shouldn't have, because it's going to cause problems. Your house, it's got the e-brake on. And then it's just like, oh.
So then they go, what do I, I'm assuming,
how do we fix that?
Yeah, what do I do about that?
Yeah. And then I explained to them how we fix that. We changed the connections, call a solid state connection. We're a pigtail, super technical, I explained to them why that's better. We're taking away failure points as we navigate through the house. We're changing connections. This is where I sometimes over-explain, but I feel like it's one of those areas where sometimes it's warranted, depending on the person. But that's usually where I spend most of my time explaining why it's so important.
Sure.
That those connections have to be fixed, especially since you already decided that you want to put fire guard protection in your panel.
Right, because it makes sense because you said protection's important to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you will go outlet by outlet and just check one by one, and then all of a sudden replacing
every time.
So when you when you kind of create, do you create options, or you just say we're going to do them all, or how do you like to present?
In this situation, I mean, this kind of progressed into a couple new can lights in the kitchen, but and a couple bath fans, and those were his idea. But in just like the very basic panel redevice situation, I'll ask them what they want to do. And then ask if it's okay if I create some options just based on my experience and what I've seen in the past for their type of situation. And there's never, a no from that. It's always, well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're the professional. You make up options for me.
Okay.
And I usually tell them, like, I'm going to make some options if it's okay with you. I'm going to put a few on there so we're just not pigeonholed into one. But let's make a couple. That way we can at least pick one that works best for you today.
So you pretty much have them confirmed and locked into their top option without price being no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to putting them in a category by themselves. people go, well, what would you do in this situation? If this was my mom's house, this would have been done yesterday. Everyone else that I deal with that has your problem, that has this issue going on, they always choose to do everything.
Yeah.
And really? All of them. Every single one of them.
Sure. So in the instance, in this particular call, the can lights and the fans, so you're in the kitchen with the lights. Did they bring it up, or did you go, oh, how do the lights, because it's a total disconnect, right, in terms of why you're there.
Yeah, I went from a diagnostic type situation to something cool in there.
Yeah, right.
It was his idea. We were in the kitchen talking. I was actually getting ready to start writing options, and he brought it up. And he's like, is there anything you guys can do about can lighting in here? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes.
Called the right guy.
Yeah.
So he kind of brought it up, and then I asked him if there's anything else that he can think of while we're there that he wants us to take a look at. And he's let me call my wife. So he calls his wife, and she's like, the freaking bath fan and the master bed, and he's like, the bath fan. So we went in there. I'm like, how about the other bathrooms? Like, they're all the same age, right? And like, let's talk about those. Mm-hmm. And so it turned into a couple bath fans, a few can lights, and obviously some dimmers were going to come with the redevice that we were going to do.
Right.
So yeah, it was his idea, but then after he kind of brought it to my attention that there could have been more. I was so fixated on this project and this house, and I was trying to figure everything out.
Right.
You forget to ask sometimes, what else there is that you can do for him, if there's anything else.
Yeah.
So he brought it up, he reminded me of it, and then it kind of just progressed into some bath fans. And
is that everything, or are we missing something at this point?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. What else can we do?
Right.